Whenever Jim Cantore's in town, and I like Jim, normally it's not a good thing because that means there's trouble. But, and I spent time with Jim at the Olympics in Vancouver and London. So, not always, you have to be worried about the end of the world. But normally when you see Jim on the Weather Channel, chances are he's going to be in some place that all hell is breaking loose. So I saw the Farmer's Almanac that came out and said, Farmer's Almanac predicts winter storm for Northeast in time for the Super Bowl. So I thought, let me talk to Jim. Does the Weather Channel buy into the Farmer's Almanac? So Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel joining us. Jimmy, how are you?
Dan, I'm doing great, buddy. It's good to talk to you again.
Okay. The Farmer's Almanac means what?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
It's a ways out. I mean, let's just take the hurricane predictions for the year as a good example. It's supposed to be a busy year, right? I mean, we haven't even had our first hurricane yet in the Atlantic. So, I take long range forecasts with a grain of salt, but I'll also admit to you, as a kid, I couldn't wait till the Farmer's Almanac came out. I couldn't wait to find out if it was going to snow on my birthday. So I, too, have been a user in the past.
Okay, but how much validity would you put, how much stock would you put in the fact that there could be, or they're predicting brutal conditions for the Super Bowl in New York?
Honestly, when I first looked at it, I said, you can't do that. You can't just come out and say it's going to snow for the Super Bowl. I mean, just pick a day. But then I went and looked at the data a little bit, all right, because you always have me looking at data. When I know Dan's going to call, I start looking into the data. And this isn't so much about highs and lows. Highs average about 40, low about 25, but actually 6 out of the 10 biggest Northeast snowstorms for Newark area have been in February. So, I'm going to say there's more than a 50% chance that they're going to be right. I'm probably going to give it 65 right now.
All right. So
how's that? Fair?
It's snow at the Super Bowl as far as Jim Cantore is predicting. All right. So
and who doesn't want that game? Who doesn't want it just hammering and puking snow for that game?
Well,
I mean, really, that just makes a great show.
I don't know if I want it puking snow, but and is that a meteorologist terminology there? A term that you puking snow?
It's one I've adopted of late.
Wow. So that's an official term then when you're on the Weather Channel. It is puking snow here. Thank you, Jim. All right. Jim Cantore, the Weather Channel.
You spice up sports, I'm going to spice up the Weather Channel. Okay. You choose your words, I'll choose mine.
What's the worst weather you've ever been in?
Probably Chicago. Frontal pass. I was standing right on Lake Michigan. Frontal passage, it goes from 40 to 8 degrees in 2 hours. I'm standing there with snow caked on my face, frostbite. I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal.
Frostbite?
That was the worst. What was that?
Frostbite?
Frostbite, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even know it until I came back in and looked at the tape when I came back in the truck. You don't even know you're getting it.
What's the most dangerous position you've ever been in the Weather Channel?
Well, I mean, there's been a couple times lightning struck nearby. Katrina was probably the worst when the water came up and took 4 of our vehicles. That was not fun.
Do you want conditions? Do you want, the worse, the better for you?
Well, if I can get in horrible conditions and they don't hurt anybody or harm anything, great. That's the goal. I want to be able to show the awesome power of the weather. That's the goal. But when it starts taking things and taking people's lives, then it gets to be a whole other ballgame.
But here's a problem I have. We're talking to Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel. There'd be times, Dan Rather used to do this, when there'd be a big storm, and he'd be holding onto a light pole. And I would think, as a viewer, I would say, can't you just have a camera show the conditions with you voicing it over to the side of the camera? Therefore, nobody's in harm's way. Why must you be part of the story holding onto a light pole with El Nino banging down on you?
Yeah, we've talked about this. There's just something about seeing Mother Nature kick the crap out of Cantore. There's just something beautiful about that. Everybody wants to see it, so let's put it on TV. And that's what we do.
Do you work out just so you can stand up during a hurricane?
Yes and no. I do bump up the training a little bit. But I don't think I could look nearly as good as you did in Grown Ups 2.
Thank you.
I mean, really, that was just incredible, man.
Well, I got to show you. I don't know if you brought a date or who, but I'm going to say it's almost like Clooney. You walk into a room, Clooney's going to take your girl. If your girl saw me in Grown Ups 2, pretty much over for you.
It's over, yeah. It's over.
Yeah, and you know what? I was anatomically correct.
Yes, you were.
Yes.
Yes, you were.
So I will see you in Russia.
Yes, sir.
Now, Russia.
I may see you in the Meadowlands before. How are we going to do this, by the way? How are we going to do the Meadowlands and Russia?
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, it's almost like the same day we have to leave.
I leave the day after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And then I go to Sochi. But give people an idea, because when you think Russia, you think Siberia. But the weather conditions in Sochi, where they're going to have the Winter Olympics, it's sort of tropical, isn't it?
Yeah. I was out there, actually, earlier this year, and they have what's great about it is there's a mountain cluster and a coastal cluster. And down in the coastal cluster, where all the indoor venues will be, I mean, they're going to have palm trees planted outside. The average high is 50 degrees, Dan. It's warmer than Vancouver.
Oh, boy.
So, obviously we're hoping for the mountains to stay cold enough to support snow, and they've got all sorts of snowmaking equipment up there.
But how far away is the beach area to where they're going to have downhill skiing and luge and all
30 miles as the crow flies. 30 miles.
Is there
But it goes up. It goes up.
Before I let you go, is there a hurricane on the way that we should be aware of? I mean, hurricane season, right? So,
well, I got to be honest with you. It's almost kind of eerie. We haven't really had anything. I mean, I think something's going to start kicking up in September. I'd be shocked if it didn't. But nothing to me says, okay, 10 days away, East Coast or Gulf of Mexico threat. Nothing right now.
All right. Well, keep us informed. Keep pumping. The gun show you got. Pretty impressive. So I know you need to hold on to a light pole or whatever. So
I'm just trying to keep up with you.
I get it. I understand.
You know the drill.
All right. Good to talk to you, Jimmy.
We'll see you soon, Dave.
All right. Jim Cantore, been a meteorologist for 26 years with the Weather Channel. His show, Weather Center, Monday through Friday, 5 till 8, with co-host Chris Warren and Crystal Egger. With Jim Cantore.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.